Clipperton Island is a tiny little coral atoll in the Pacific, off the coast of Mexico, but a long way off the coast. It has very few natural resources, but back in the colonial age, it was strategically important as a place to make landfall for ships crossing the Pacific. It's not entirely clear who first discovered Clipperton Island, but the Spanish certainly knew of its existence in the 16th century. When Mexico became independent of Spain, it considered that Clipperton Island was part of the land which passed from Spanish to Mexican control. However, in 1858, a French vessel passed by Clipperton Island and the captain claimed the island for France. The French claim was then proclaimed publicly and maintained without any objections until 1897, when Mexico sent a warship, landed Marines, and claimed ownership of the island. France immediately protested, and the two nations entered into a dispute which was partly resolved by a treaty in 1909, but not really resolved until 1931, when the parties appointed the King of Italy, Victor Emmanuel III, as an arbitrator to decide the status of the island. The real question for the arbitration was whether the island was terra nullius, or empty land, at the time the French declared it to be a French possession, or whether the land was already a Spanish possession at that time, which would make it Mexican at the time of the arbitration. The arbitrator said, even admitting that the discovery had been made by Spanish subjects, it would be necessary to prove that Spain not only had the right as a state to incorporate the island in her possessions, but also had effectively exercised the right. But that has not been demonstrated at all. The proof of an historic right of Mexico's is not supported by any manifestation of her sovereignty over the island, a sovereignty never exercised until the expedition of 1897, and the mere conviction that this was territory belonging to Mexico, although general and of long standing, cannot be retained. This case confirms the older rule that once a nation incorporates new territory, it must do so openly and must communicate this intention to other powers without them objecting, and then must actually exercise power and authority over the new territory. Merely making an academic claim without more is not enough to establish sovereignty, but actual occupation is not necessarily required.